Alrighty guys, we are going to continue on with chapter 8 in September Sneakers, okay? This is our second to last chapter. Tomorrow we will finish up our book in chapter 9, okay? So let's go ahead and get started with chapter 8. More sneakers. You did, Bradley cried. Who? Josh handed the sneakers to Bradley, a kid named Will. He plays basketball and he's in the Junior Inventors Club I joined. Bradley's mind was going 100 miles an hour. Did this Will kid steal Goldie? Was he leaving little sneakers all over town? What's the Junior Inventors Club? Nate asked. Just a bunch of kids who like inventing things, Josh said. He waved his notebook and grinned. Someday, this invention is going to change the world. Josh headed for the barn. Nate, Brian, and Lucy sat at the picnic table with the cookies between them. Bradley stood next to the table with the green sneakers in his hand. Bradley felt a tug. Pal yanked the sneakers out of his hand and dropped them on the ground. His big, wet nose traveled all over the sneakers, inside and out. Then he threw his head back and let out a howl. Pal flopped down on his belly and tossed one of the sneakers into the air. It landed on his head. Pal whimpered and looked at the kids with big brown eyes. He used to look just like that when he was playing with Goldie, Lucy said. He must miss her. When he heard Goldie, Pal barked. Then he stuck his snout inside one of the sneakers. Bradley thought about Pal's sense of smell. He dropped down and clipped the leash onto Pal's collar. Come on, Pal, let's go to the high school, he said. Why do you want to go there? Nate asked. To find this Will kid, Josh mentioned, Bradley said. He has sneakers like these. If we can find Will, I'll bet we can find out everything else. They headed down Farm Lane. Nate was carrying the sneakers looped around his neck. They cut through a field to get to the high school. The outdoor basketball court was next to the gym. 3 tall kids were shooting hoops. None of them were wearing green and orange sneakers. The 4 kids and Pal walked over to the players. Bradley took the sneakers from Nate. When one of the big kids looked at him, Bradley held them up. Do you know who these belong to? He asked. All 3 players walked over. No, but I've seen a few guys wearing sneakers just like them. One of the boys said, they're way cool. A few guys, Brian asked. Like who? Will Taylor and Buddy Pelosi. The tall boy said. I think Hunter Terry has a pair too. Hunter Terry, Bradley asked. Our teacher is Miss Terry. The tall boy grinned. Yep, Hunter's her kid. Those guys hang out together all the time. The 3 boys continued their game. Bradley, Brian, Nate, and Lucy looked at each other. Finally, they walked over to a bench and sat. Brian pulled out the flyer he'd taken from the supermarket. And what's up with this? He asked. He read from the flyer, Sweet feet coming soon. Maybe feet means sneakers, Nate suggested. A lot of sneakers have been showing up around here. You're right, Nate, Bradley said. I wonder if there's a pattern to where the little sneakers have been found. That man on Owl Road found one on his porch, and his friend on Pheasant Lane found one too. And Bobby Arnold, who lives on Blue Jay, got one, Nate said. Zach lives on Wren Drive, Brian said. He found a little sneaker too. And Mr. Beret did, Lucy added. Where does he live? On Eagle Lane, not too far from our house. Bradley jumped up. All those places are pretty near Thrush Court, he said, where Miss Terry lives with her son, Hunter, and Hunter owns green and orange sneakers too. Sneakers that Pal thinks smell like Goldie, Lucy said. Bradley grinned. I think we need to go visit Miss Terry, he said. All right, that's the end of chapter 8. And remember, tomorrow we will finish up with chapter 9, okay?